Hello, how you doing? Danny de Hek, aka the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger, here to name and shame anyone running or promoting a Ponzi scheme or a scam. I have a story, it's a personal story, and I want to be able to share it with you. I want you to understand what it's like when the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger may actually be fooled. This story is about Ethan Graves. You may have not heard of his name before, but as this video goes on, I will explain why. Before we start, a bit of housekeeping. This is only my opinion. Anything I say in the next thing is pure made up mumbo jumbo if you want. Don't believe it if you want, but you'll see the sense of what I'm saying is true and genuine, which I am saying. But don't take it as a grain of salt. But that's a sort of small disclaimer. Now, I have made a blog about what I'm about to do. It is on my website, dehek.com. It is also on Substack. It is also on LinkedIn. It is also on Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. And it is also on Medium. And it is also on Blogit, which is blogspot.com, which is owned by Google. And it is also on Patreon. And the other thing is it will be made into a podcast. And my podcast, if you don't know where it is, it's podcast.dehek.com. And my podcast is streamed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Overcast, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Podcast Addict, Castrol Box, Podcaster, and Pocket Cast, DS's, Listening Notes, Player FM, Good Pods, and Tune Fans. Even I didn't know I podcasted onto that much. So the honest truth of it all is this is absolutely everywhere what I'm doing right now. And there's a reason for it, because I'm here to give people, as a journalist and someone who documents scams, a word of caution and how to prevent yourself from getting scammed twice. Now, I'm talking about crypto recovery agents and how shocking they are. So to make sure I get the message out, I'm currently streaming on X, Crypto Donimo, which is another YouTuber's account that wants me to stream my information. I'm also streaming on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Kick. I'm on Rumble. And I'm also on my own YouTube channel. This video has been under duress because it has been reported by the scammer. They don't want this video online. This is the hard evidence. I were groomed and I was asked to provide people who have been scammed, and they were to come forth and tell me they've been scammed, and I were to pass them on to a third party. This third party offered me a blanket rate. Every time I sent someone who'd been scammed to their door, they were going to give me money every time they extracted money of them. In the past, this company had claimed to be a savior for people who had lost money to their crypto. And they said that if they pay them 9% of whatever they lost, or 16% if they were successful at recovering the money, they would do a class action lawsuit. I was told by the individual, which we're calling Ethan Graves, that they had been successful in recovering money in the past. But in the last 5 years, there had been no lawsuits that I have been seen or given to me to prove that they had done anything. I've got a list of 20 people that have paid 9% on top of what they lost to a scam, and they said that this company that I'm about to talk about had never recovered any money for them. In fact, I've got a contract from the company claiming that if they were unsuccessful at recovering any money, they would get their 9% back. However, this company claims that they are waiting for things to happen before they even pursue a lawsuit. It is disgusting. They claim that 34 million pounds is the collective of a class action lawsuit. Now, if you do a search on ChatGPT and ask how a class action lawsuit actually works, you may be surprised to know that the money is normally no win, no fee. No fee, no win. Whatever you want to call it. Anyway, this company is taking 16% if they're successful and 9% up front. One lady I know had deposited $80,000 or nearabouts into a Ponzi scheme and lost it. the person that's now claiming they can get the money back was running the Ponzi scheme. It's disgusting. And now they're claiming defamation and privacy and the whole 9 yards. And they're trying to remove this content of YouTube. Now, it's easier for YouTube to bend at the knees and just remove the content. So the perpetrator has been successful at removing some of my content. But at the start of this video, I showed you how many platforms I stream to. I also showed you that my podcast is on 18 or 17 different platforms. And I also have published this as a blog on 6 different major blog sites. So good luck at getting this information removed of the internet. They have claimed that I have stolen the imagery that you're about to see. They have claimed that I have posted nude pictures on this blog, which is absolutely ludicrous. So if you go to my website and you go through, you'll find similar images, you'll find the real person's name, and you'll find this information in my website and my other media. But for the purpose of this experiment, I'm not going to use the person's name. I'm not going to use the company associated, but I'm going to tell you my personal experience. So hopefully I can basically bring up a window and get started pretty much straight away. And it looks like everything's going to plan so far. So let's get into this. Exposing the truth and my experience with class action recovery is the title. And you can see I'm not in the picture. I had problems with my camera in my previous. There we go. And I've fixed my camera problems. And if anyone ever has any problems with their Sony A6400 and you're wondering how to get it streaming perfectly on the internet, please come to me. I'd love to be able to help you. Now, if you want to support me and what I do, you can buy me a cup of coffee. It is much appreciated when you do this. However, I'm not doing this because I'm trying to scam you. I'm not doing this. I want to help you get your money. I can't help you get your money back once you've been scammed, but I can create awareness and I can also cause a lot of disruption with scammers. And I'm very, very good at this. If you don't know anything about me, I am Danny de Hek, aka the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger, which I said at the start. I have been featured in numerous online articles. Now, unlike other scam websites, when you go to a scam website, I'm not saying I'm a scam, you will see that along the top here, I have links to news articles. Radio New Zealand, Star News, The Press, Behind MLM, The New York Times, The Guardian, News.com, ABC Australia, and those people have published content about me. So just a few weeks ago, you will find, if you click on those banners, you will actually find articles about me. My most prestigious to date is actually the New York Times. However, just the other day, Spooky Chicken and myself were mentioned as Avengers. He's an Australian guy. He was just in our room before, and that's Ben, and he gave me the idea for this video, to be honest. He's an Australian going after scammers as well. But if you go down here enough, you'll hear stories of people that have lost their money to these scammers. My message to you is don't get scammed twice. Now, would you believe the part where you get to the advertisement and you have to click more, you have to read more, is when you read my section, which is down here, hopefully. And you'll see that I have actually been featured in here, maybe, if we don't get advertised. And somewhere in here, way at the very bottom, you'll see me, and I'm featured in here. One day I'll have the top of the article, not the bottom of the article. But my point being, ladies and gentlemen, I have got quite a big footprint, and people do realize I bust scams, and they also know I'm around a lot of victims, and I felt I was groomed. So this is the story. I've actually got it as a blog, and you can actually see me and my high ranting rascal right there talking on this very blog that we're doing right now. So let me read the story to you, and I'll add my 2 cents worth. We're going to learn all about Ethan Graves.
My name is Danny de Hek, though many know me as the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger. As a cult survivor, public speaker, and investigative satirist, I've dedicated my life to exposing scams, sharing my story of resilience, and inspiring others to stand against exploitation. My journey, shaped by overcoming the trauma of high-control religious environments and financial predators, fuels my mission to educate and protect others. For years, I've spent countless hours uncovering Ponzi schemes and helping victims understand the true nature of these scams. My goal has always been to empower people, helping them avoid losing their hard-earned money. However, my recent experience with an individual I'll call Ethan Graves, a pseudonym, and his associate, representing companies based in Austria and elsewhere, opened my eyes to a concerning aspect of the recovery services industry. This is my account, my observations, and my opinion, shared to provide cautionary insight to others.
Yeah, so that's the start of the story. I'll make it bigger so we can read it together. It's not rocket science, this. It's quite simple, really. There's a lot of people out there that take advantage of people that have been taken care of. And if you're softly spoken and a nice sort of fella, most people will believe you and they won't do their due diligence. Well, I started doing due diligence, and this is what I found out.
Attending the Global Financial Crime Summit 2024 in November 2024, I travelled to Sydney, Australia, to attend the Global Financial Crime Summit 2024, a prestigious event held at the Intercontinental Sydney. The summit brought together over 150 professionals, including law enforcement, financial crime experts, and cybersecurity leaders, to address the growing threat of financial fraud. With Australians reporting over $6 billion in losses to scams since 2022, the summit provided a vital platform for collaboration and knowledge sharing.
So it was definitely a privilege to be able to go. And some of the speakers, there was literally 150 delegates from around the world. It was absolutely the best thing I've ever been to. And if I get wealthy enough next time, instead of having my ticket shouted, I would pay for this event. And I'd encourage anyone else to do so.
Some of the featured speakers included Ken Gamble, Executive Chairman, IFW Global, Dr. Muhammad Chorky, Associate Professor of Cybercrime, Aaron West, Deputy District Attorney, React Task Force, USA Chris Parrish, Resident Agent, U.S. Secret Service Amit Levin, Global CTG and AML Advisor, Binance.
So all their contact details and everything, I have them, and I can correspond with these people and I can share intel with, and it's absolutely amazing. And the purpose of the conference was to literally build a bridge between the private sector and the government sectors. And we currently have a database which is absolutely amazing. And I'm just going to bring that up to show this, because a lot of people don't realize the method of my madness. And the method of my madness is basically to show people that we are collecting data. We have a valuable database of nearly 400 people, persons of interest as we call it. And in here you'll see that I've got names of notorious scammers, people who have scammed other people. And they run meetings, Zoom meetings. We currently have 6 different countries, 6 different government agents that have access to my database. I have broken the database into Australians, Americans, Netherlands, UK, because I've got countries that only can work in their jurisdiction, which is really, really cool. The other thing that we've done recently is we have 117 different Ponzi schemes and scams. We've got a company that currently wants to put all our information into a database that will be 3D animation and show how all these scammers and scams are linked together. I have found major links to major scams. Just this morning, I got some intel about one guy who has been strongly associated with Sam Lee, Shavas Anwar, and human trafficking compounds. Now, I found out that he has been fined in China, and we've got court documents in Chinese words about this guy, and it's the intel that we receive is absolutely priceless. We're putting it together. We're making it available for governments. So if you go to dehek.com and you have been scammed or you have any information, you can literally go to the Contact Us page on my website. On the Contact Us page on the website, you will find a form that you can fill out anonymously, or you can provide us your real information and tick anonymous. We'll keep it anonymous. We like to correspond if we can. So we're asking people for the name of the Ponzi scheme or scam, who introduced them to it is the biggest lead that you can give us, your name, your email, your username if you want, your phone number, the date you invested, and how much money you invested. Not how much money you were going to be paid, how much money you invested. Any feedback, any information, we really value it. We have some amazing intel, and a lot of it is given to us by our subscribers. Currently, we have over 45,000 subscribers going by YouTube stats, which is pretty amazing. Right, so what did the summit cover is the question.
The summit covered a range of topics, from real-world case studies and data-driven solutions to cross-border collaboration and strategies for building stronger defenses against financial crimes. I left the first day inspired by the shared commitment to tackling scams and cybercrime.
It was a 2-day conference, absolutely amazing.
On the evening of the first day, I arranged to record a podcast with Ethan Graves, someone I had connected with through my work exposing scams. This was the second time I had met Ethan face to face, and I saw it as an opportunity to get to know him better while discussing the insights shared at the summit.
Yes. So Ethan Graves, grave name, actually picked me up from the airport, showed me the absolute hospitality of proper Australian. We even went out for dinner. I paid for my own dinner. He did buy me a beer. He said he wanted to buy me food. I don't like people paying my way. So he did buy me a beer, I think, but I think I paid for my own dinner the first night. All the rest of the dinners I paid for my way. But he claims to be a businessman. Now he claims to be a businessman, but what is a businessman? I mean, a businessman. What does this guy actually do? What did Ethan actually do? Well, it's unclear. As far as I can see, he used to run and promote a scam in Australia that he now claims is a scam. So 40,000 Australians signed up for this loyalty program. You probably know who I'm talking about. He was running it. And now he's got himself involved with another guy that claims they're doing a class action lawsuit. He's not even a lawyer. He's not a lawyer. He's not qualified to do this, but he's not doing that work. He's just taking the money. He's facilitating the money. I'm sure that Ethan is actually just clipping the ticket along the way because they offered me money if I were bringing people their way. I told them that there's no way in hell they'd ever get any money from Hyperverse or any other scam that I've done because no one knows where the money is. They did not care. Did not care. He said, we don't care. We didn't say that actually, I must admit. They said it didn't really matter. I gave them the timelines of all the names of change of ownerships of companies that this scam had that I've been chasing, and they didn't really care. Even though I said that since then, Sam Lee had been arrested, detained in Dubai after Interpol served a red notice on him. He has been released since. He claims he's an innocent person now. This is who they believe they could recover the money from. One of the people, Hypertech Group. Hypertech Group was owned by Sam Lee and Ryan Jew and another guy called Alan Drew, something else. Anyway, he's had his passport removed of him because he's a flight risk. He was meant to have about 14 million on him or something around that figure. And it's just all bullshit. So even though I told this company that there's no way in hell they would ever get any money back, they still wanted to do a class action lawsuit. And they still wanted to pay me a blanket fee of people that I brought in real time. So they were going to use the money that they claimed in another scam, the 9%, they were going to take that money off people, giving them hope that they could recover funds, and then put this stupid disclaimer in it saying that they could have their money back if they were unsuccessful. When they started doing these contracts originally, they insinuated to people that they had 6 months to ask for their money back if no action was taken. But now they've got a bit smarter and they put this clause in here if we're not successful. But they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. I asked for court documents of filings. I got submissions to the courts, but no court dates, no court correspondence, nothing on a government website, only a PDF file that when I searched for the title, I found what looked like exactly the same template PDF with all the words different. But the one that I found online was a government website. And if this document that I got given was a government submission to a court, then they should have given me the link that, like the other one that we found on the government website. But I didn't. I found a copy of a document that looked like it could have been copied. This company wouldn't answer my questions. In fact, they kept on pestering me to where I got my intel from. And they said that we're going to go after a guy if he keeps on feeding you information. And they basically were threatening him, and they have been threatening me now that they're going to do something if I don't shut up. So Ethan Graves is in grave danger of pissing off the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger. Anyway, so picked me up on the first day, And I don't even know if I read this paragraph.
On the evening of the first day, I arranged to record a podcast with Ethan Graves, someone I had connected with through my work exposing scams. This was the second time I had met Ethan face to face, and I saw it as an opportunity to get to know him better while discussing the insights shared at the summit.
Yeah. So the first day was, I think it was a Thursday. And so it was a Thursday night, and we went there, and I said this would be a great opportunity to record a podcast. So we recorded a podcast, which has since been, I think, removed from their website, but it hasn't been removed from, I'm just fixing up some stuff here while I'm here. I'm being a bit naughty. It's been removed from their website, but still on my website. And it was a podcast, my idea and everything. But it's just a shame that these people weren't who they said they were, because they actually gave people false hope into thinking there could be a chance that they could get their money back. But after speaking, I had a lady, Carol, ring up the other day telling me that she thought that Ethan was an awesome person, but not. Right. So after that, so what have we got? Even the first day recorded. Yep. So now we're up to the podcast and the red flags, and hopefully this information is correct. Now I'm going to have another disclaimer here. I am dyslexic, and I feed a lot of information into ChatGPT, and then it spits out a blog. I listen to it and I agree with it. So I'm pretty sure that this information is my sentiments, but may not be my exact words. But let's listen to the first two paragraphs of the red flags.
The podcast that raised red flags. Ethan Graves and I recorded the podcast in one of the meeting rooms at the Global Financial Crime Summit 2024. The discussion centered on the event itself, how insightful the sessions were, the innovative strategies shared by experts, and the importance of global collaboration in fighting financial crime. Ethan brought a cameraman to document the podcast, which seemed like a straightforward way to capture and share the moment. After the podcast, Ethan posted photos and videos on social media, including images of himself standing at a podium with the summit signage prominently displayed in the background. To someone unfamiliar with the situation, these posts might give the impression that Ethan was closely affiliated with the summit or had an official role as a delegate or speaker. In reality, Ethan's only connection to the event was being invited to record the podcast in the venue.
Now, when I mentioned this to Ken Gamble, who was the organizer of the event, he was very interested. But this photo that you see with the cow head on it was all over social media. I can't show you because I can't use Ethan's real identity, but he didn't use the cow photo. But this photo, he claimed I actually stole it. Can you believe that? He gave it to me to use on after a request. He said I could use it. So whatever. And I have a text to show that. But anyway, so all of a sudden, this photo with the sign FW Global at the global, what do they call it? The Global Financial Crime Summit, which you can see I have the invitation here. Is it going to work? So it was alleging that he was a speaker or he was someone prominent at the event. This would actually fall in line with his, oh, hello, Jelly Snack. Nice to see you here. Like those sound files. So it actually would, imply that he was a speaker or somebody there. I don't know. But anyway, since then, all those photos have been removed. But Danny, because he's very clever, has managed to get all those photos and put them in Craig's file. So originally I had, Ethan's file. And originally I had, what did I have? I had something in there that was interesting. I have all those photos showing we had used them on a social media, even though he'd removed them afterwards. So it was pretty crazy. Old Ethan, eh?
While the posts didn't explicitly claim he was part of the summit, in my opinion, the way they were presented could mislead people into believing Ethan was more involved than he actually was. At first, I thought little of it, assuming Ethan was simply proud of being associated with such an important event. However, things began to shift after the podcast aired. A week after I returned home, I started receiving emails from people who had seen the podcast. Many of these messages were supportive, but a significant number raised serious concerns about Ethan. Several individuals claimed he was a scammer, warning me to be cautious. Others shared documents that painted a troubling picture of his professional activities. These emails stopped me in my tracks. Until then, I had seen Ethan as a fellow advocate for scam victims, someone committed to helping those who had been defrauded. But the allegations and evidence I was receiving suggested a different story.
So, this is a drinking game. What do you mean? This is the best beer in the world. Why is my camera not focused so quick these days? It's absolutely brilliant. Castles. It's an IPA, cloudy IPA. Beautiful. What I was going to get at is Ethan. Yeah, it's sort of a shame because in my profession, I'm vulnerable. I live in a secure location. I have got my name out there and my face. And, and I do live like, this might seem incredibly reckless, but my name is out there. And some of the scammers I go out after are wealthy and cartel related. And if I was in any other country than living in New Zealand, I'd probably be more vulnerable. But I live a reckless life where, this is a scary business that I'm in. Other people don't want to speak out and they want to hide. I've got my name, my identity. Anyone could find me. It's not that hard. I could find myself in a heartbeat because I research people. I'm actually thinking about running a dating course for ladies who are trying to hide their online identities, showing them how easy it is for people to find people. I mean, it's not that hard. I'd like to think I'm a bit protected, but not really. Every time I move, I go to reasonably extraordinary lengths to hide where I am. But hey, if I go running every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock at Fun Park, Park Run, then you could find me, couldn't you? So I am reckless. And to be honest, and this may be taken wrong, I don't care whether I live or die. And what I mean by that is I would fight to the death to expose these scammers. And that's something that a lot of people may not understand. Now, when I was brought up in a religious cult, I lost everything. And I mean everything. My family, I still don't have my family. I had to give up my business because my business partner was a Jehovah's Witness. I had to find a new place to live. I had to find new employment. And I just never had a normal life until the age of 23. At the age of 40, I went through a major divorce. Wife was trying to, ruin my business that I had. For 10 years in a row, I had a 6-figure income generator from my business, built a beautiful house in the country that just got sold recently for $1.7 million. I had a panic room. We had a satellite off the roof. Elon Musk would have been proud. And we had a secure, lockable, solid door in my house where I used to work out of. I lost all that. My business has been on its back foot ever since. Last year was my worst year ever in business. And I'm struggling to even pay last year's tax. I live on my credit card. I'm literally here to fight to the death to stop scammers. So when someone like Ethan decides to befriend me, cannot prove that anything he says is truthful, he claims he's a businessman. What the hell does a businessman do? Doesn't have any other income stream that I know of. Didn't talk about property. It tells me that multi-level marketing, there's some good people in multi-level marketing. Told me I'm the best YouTuber in the world he's ever met. We know that's not true. And then he told me that he was going to hire me as a public speaker to talk about the dark side of multi-level marketing. He strung me along and he got me pissed off. And now he's trying to remove my content off the internet. Beep. And I'm just saying, I don't care. I'm going to get stronger. And people aren't going to be able to complain about my content. This very video is a social experiment. Ethan, I'm coming after you. Ethan, try and get this content offline. See how you get on. All right. So what do we got? Ethan was not a nice guy. All right. So, So did I? Oh God, I'm talking too much. I'm losing where I am. We'll have to do these 3 paragraphs again. Oh, sorry. Just make sure.
While the posts didn't explicitly claim he was part of the summit, in my opinion, the way they were presented could mislead people into believing Ethan was more involved than he.
I think I said that, so we'll go to the next one.
A week after I returned home, I started receiving emails from people who had seen the podcast. Many of these messages were supportive, but a significant number raised serious concerns about Ethan. Several individuals claimed he was a scammer, warning me to be cautious. Others shared documents that painted a troubling picture of his professional activities. These emails stopped me in my tracks. Until then, I had seen Ethan as a fellow advocate for scam victims, someone committed to helping those who had been defrauded. But the allegations and evidence I was receiving suggested a different story.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did read that, and I remember that. Thank you very much for your kind word, Jelly Snack, and you have been amazing. I mean, I'm not who I am unless I have my Avengers, and my Avengers are people like Jelly Snack who come in here and provide us content. They go into Zoom meetings, they cause disruption, and that's what we're doing. When I was at this global summit, it was the biggest moment of my life other than being at a Jehovah's Witness convention. But honestly, the people that were there were just incredible. And they're not only government agents who had a job, they were people that shared the same passion as me. And I honestly, if I don't get to the next conference, I'll be a very sad person, because I believe that we do make a difference. And when I'm only been 3 years in this game, I want to become a private investigator. I also want to be a proper journalist, and I want to excel in this game. And all I'm trying to do is, originally I wanted my YouTube channel to pay me enough money to do that. It doesn't do it. I make about $5,000 a year from my YouTube channel, and I have to work. And I am passionate about it. I think anybody that knows me knows how passionate I am about what I'm doing.
The documents I received included contracts and agreements related to recovery services that raised questions about transparency and fairness, complaints from individuals who claimed they had paid fees upfront but had seen no progress or results, information suggesting that Ethan's professional partner and their organization were more focused on collecting fees than on delivering real outcomes. What had started as an impromptu podcast to highlight the value of the summit quickly backfired on Ethan. Instead of boosting his credibility, it prompted people to come forward with concerns and evidence that cast doubt on his intentions.
Yeah, so since then, Ethan has gone back to Ken Gamble, and he's trying to fool or explain to Ken Gamble, that he's genuine. And look, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to pull these videos. I don't believe I am wrong, because I've asked those questions and haven't got those answers. They've climbed behind privacy. They've given me documents which I believe are fake. And also, the person in Austria that I'm dealing with only had 2 people following him on LinkedIn. The other profile had 25 people. This guy that he claims to be working with isn't a lawyer. Nope, is just someone who works in a company with lawyers. And they claim to be able to handle disputes. They claim to be running, even though it's not them and they're not lawyers, the biggest class action lawsuit in the world. Apparently, the biggest class action lawsuit in the world is £34 million. If £34 million, so I asked Ethan, has everyone paid 9%? And if they have, that's £3 million that they've collected from people, hoping that they're going to do some class action lawsuit stuff, which doesn't seem to have happened. Asking someone who has a budget of £3 million, as well as another 7% if they're successful, is about $4.5 million. Question is, what the hell have they done with the money? And that would explain why people that have invested that 9% more than 5 years ago have actually come back and said they've done nothing. Now, if you go to the website of the company I can't name, you can see people giving testimonials about how they recovered money 5 years ago. Now, you might think, well, that proves it's real. But I'm calling this a Ponzi scheme because I believe they're using the money that they're retrieving to pay people what they have lost. And then they believe they've got their money back. Now, if anybody has got their money back from some legal action, there would be a case. There would be a judge saying that we deem that this company has done something unlawful, and we were going to order them to pay the money back to Joe Blogs. But I never received any information. I asked for historical information of cases that have been presented to a judge and been paid back to the victim. I received no information as such. We have testimonials from people saying they received money back, but we don't have any filings of any court cases. In fact, all we did is we had a submission sent to a courtroom, which wasn't listed on a website with a government name on it. It was just emailed to me as a document. And then I put the other person, which I've forgotten the other name that we used. It's not Ethan, but Ethan and the Austrian, we put both their emails into ChatGPT, and I said, please tell me if you think the same person has written this email and this email. And it came back and said 75 to 85% was the same person writing the content. So whether they use things like ChatGPT for their correspondence, I don't actually know. And that may be a feasible explanation, and that's where I could possibly be wrong. And the other thing is, one is a German and living in Austria. Hopefully it's Austria. Sometimes I get things wrong. And they may have translated it using ChatGPT. I don't know. But when I was talking to Ethan, he was telling me that this other guy, which I won't name because I've forgotten his codium name that I said, he said that this guy isn't very happy with the claims that this guy Derek had made, and he's going to do legal action against him. They're thinking about it. And I go, oh, really? Well, if you're a proper lawyer or you're somebody who's all legaled up, it shouldn't be a problem, but they never have. My point is, this conversation theoretically happened at 6:30 or 7:30 in the morning. And I said to Ethan, how did you do that? How come that guy was up so early in the morning? Because he lives on the other side of the world and there's 12 hours difference. Oh, Ethan said he never sleeps. That's when I started smelling rats and asking these questions. So take it as a grain of salt if you don't. But if you are thinking about using Ethan to do your paperwork and paying him 9% of whatever money you've lost in a crypto scam that he used to run in Australia, think twice. It's not rocket science. Okay, so now we're going to do returning home and what happened next.
Returning home, the proposal that changed everything. Shortly after I returned to New Zealand, Ethan reached out with a proposal that changed my perspective entirely. He explained that he had been discussing with his professional partner at their organization the idea of pursuing a recovery initiative for victims of Ponzi schemes, particularly high-perverse. They wanted me to direct victims to their services and, in return, offered to pay me a flat-rate fee. Ethan framed this as a way to put me on the payroll for all the work I had done exposing scams, emphasizing that I could help victims while earning compensation for my efforts. At first, this seemed like a reasonable acknowledgement of the value of my work. But as I thought about it more, I began to feel deeply uncomfortable. High-perverse victims had already lost so much. How could I, in good conscience, direct them to a service charging a 16% recovery fee, 9% upfront without clear evidence of success? The idea that I might lend credibility to their operation by associating my name with it made me deeply uneasy.
Yeah, so let's just be frank. As I explained earlier in this video, there's no way in hell I honestly, with my hand on the heart, believe that anybody from Hyperverse is ever going to get their money back. So why would we entice them? Because we've already got another guy called Rory who claims that he's going to do a class action lawsuit and everyone has to pay him $15. So far, he's managed to wiggle $40,000 from people, going by what we can see on his crypto wallet, let alone the credit card payments he claims that you can do as well. And then he's going to do a class action lawsuit in Dubai. You can't do class action lawsuits in Dubai. So he's filed work in Maryland for a guy who's an Australian, claiming that there's some way out there that he can do a class action lawsuit. And not only that, it gets better. He's going to go after Sam Lee and Hypertech. Hypertech Group is owned by, theoretically, Sam Lee and Ryan Jew. I reckon Ryan Jew's got all the money, just saying, and I reckon it's a $4 billion scam, just saying. Anyway, Sam Lee's been charged in connection to a $1.9 billion scam, and Roy reckons that he can do a class action lawsuit to get the money back. Now, if America charges somebody for a $1.9 billion in connection with a $1.9 billion scam, and they can't arrest him, how is somebody like Rory going to get them in a courtroom when they live in Dubai? So they may get expedited, because I've been working with media. The Guardian newspaper, Sarah Martin, has published 14 articles about Sam Lee and Hyperverse. She's the biggest crusader I know. I was helping her with her investigation. I know more about Sam Lee than anybody. There's no way Sam Lee has any money. Sam Lee got brought in by an Interpol red notice in Dubai because they've got this new initiative called Interpol Silver Notices. 52 countries are part of it, where people who are running scams can be brought in and they can have all their assets stripped. If Sam Lee did have any money, they just got stripped when he got brought in for 7 days in the beginning of December 2020. December, the first month of the month? January 24. So these crypto recovery agents are just rubbing salt in the wound and profiteering by promising people false hope. Now, I did mention these things, but I was enjoying my time in Australia at the Global Financial Crimes Summit 2024 after being invited by a private investigator who actually does do real-time recoveries. We met a guy who lost $1.8 million to a TradeX trading platform. They got $2.2 million back from him. Ken Gamble, it's hopefully going to be a Netflix documentary, went over to the Philippines after they caught the guy in the Filipino airport. The guy and his 7 colleagues had defrauded people over $100 million worth from doing crypto trading. The guy was in prison over there. The Filipino cyber squad commander was in the audience with us. The guy wouldn't hand over the $2.2 million he had in his bank account, which they can do in the Philippines, to the person that was complaining that he had $1.8 million worth of losses to this guy. 5 days after being in a Filipino prison, the guy thought he was going to die. And he agreed to hand over all the money in his bank account to the person that lost $1.8 million, which was $2.2 million. He got all his money back. And everyone clapped in the audience. And there was the guy right in front of me, the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger from Philippines, who had made that guy's prison time hell. How cool was that conference? I was wound up. I love being there. So we had stories like that. There was another lady who lost $115 million to a romance scam in Australia. The guy allegedly, it's hard to comprehend this, had stolen $15 million from ladies claiming stuff. So these are the type of things that actually happened while I was there. And I see another problem. Okay, it won't be a second. I'll read this and I'll see if I can fix my problem while you're listening.
The reality of recovery services from my perspective, recovery services like these often prey on victims' desperation. Here's why. False hope. Victims are led to believe their money can be recovered, even when the chances are slim. Upfront fees. Charging fees before delivering results adds financial strain to people who have already lost so much. Lack of transparency. Ethan and his associate provided no verifiable proof of their past recoveries, relying instead on vague claims and polished presentations.
Yeah. Look, I it's not that I want to pick out, I don't do this to, make somebody like Ethan's life hell. I don't just pick some random stranger in the street and go, oh, you've got something to do with crypto and I'll go after you. I don't do that. I put my heart and my soul into everything I do. If I'm wrong, then I've given him the opportunity to present me the evidence. And all I got was what looked like an email from Ethan, not the other person. They also told me that they were busy being a businessman in Sydney. It's just ridiculous. And I just do not believe there's any truth in it whatsoever. And not because I'm stubborn or pig-headed, I'm open-minded. And I welcome Ethan to come on a podcast with me. I welcome Ethan to actually be on my YouTube, and I'll set up a podcast the same as this and give it a massive footprint. Remember, we are streaming as we speak on 6 different platforms. We're on X. Ethan, you have to contact X, which is Elon Musk. Ethan, you have to contact Crypto Domino, which is on YouTube. Ethan, you have to contact LinkedIn. Ethan, you have to contact Twitch. Ethan, you have to contact Kick. Ethan, you have to contact Rumble. Ethan, you have to contact YouTube again. Not only that, you have to go to all those podcast people and ask them to remove my podcast from their platform. And not only that, you'll have to go to 6 different blog sites and ask for your blog to be removed. I mean, it gets ridiculous. There's no proof of it. You know, and if you do any research on crypto recovery people, there is no fee up front. These people are profiteering. In conclusion, what can I leave you with?
Conclusion. This blog is not about attacking individuals or organizations. It's about sharing my experiences and observations to help others make informed decisions. Everything I've shared here is based on my personal encounters and opinions. To victims of scams, stay vigilant and demand transparency. To those offering recovery services, be honest about your track record. And to everyone fighting financial crime, let's work together to protect those who need it most.
You know, as I said, I put everything into this. It's my life. I was talking to a airline, let's call it him a dolly trolley today, and he said that once he was in a plane and 2 people were giving him grief, and he walked up to them and told them to basically shut up, or he will have them arrested when the plane lands, and they shut up. You know, and I said, I go after scammers. Not everyone likes me. It's some ways it's a thankless task going after these scammers. And I'd like to think that even if I get 98% of my reporting correct, I'm doing a good job at causing disruption, because I believe the only way to stop these scammers is causing disruption. Ethan's case, he picked me up from the airport, befriended me for 3 days in Sydney. I enjoyed his company. I could be wrong. I did the right thing. People who are promoting scams often say you need to do your due diligence. The only thing I'm really guilty of, if I didn't do my due diligence, is not asking them questions. I asked questions. I had my concerns. They wanted to pay me money for victims that wanted to have a go at getting their money back. I introduced Ethan and Rory together. Ethan got excited. I like this guy. And I said, yeah, you go and play with him, because you're not playing with me anymore. I don't trust you. I asked you the questions. I did the due diligence, and you come back with shit answers. Why? You're scamming people. That's what I do. I'm here to name and shame anyone running or promoting a Ponzi scheme or a scam. Is it really ethical to give people false hope? Are you really going to work from 9 to 5 as a businessman and helping people that have lost their money to investment scams? $6 billion has been lost in Australia alone. I don't even know if that's yearly or if that's since it's been going. I actually think that was So with Australians reporting over $6 billion in losses to scams since 2022. So $3 billion a year. 2.2 if you want to get exactly right, probably, at the date of this recording, if you want to get absolutely right, as lost to scams. Ethan, you're a scammer. You are a bottom feeder. You are the lowest of humans. You might be getting scammed yourself. Your colleague in Austria who couldn't give me the truth, who doesn't have a digital footprint. He has 2 people on his LinkedIn account and another 25 on another LinkedIn account. You mean somebody who's an investigative journalist has got 2 LinkedIn accounts and doesn't know how to reset his password so he can delete the second one? And not only that, these LinkedIn accounts is the only digital footprint we have of this guy, was set up in 2019 because that's how long ago that these people decided they could potentially tell people they are doing a class action lawsuit. What a load of bullshit. I call you out. I'm Danny de Hek, aka the Crypto Ponzi Scheme Avenger, and I name and shame anyone. Ethan Graves, you are a scammer.